Hello out there in crypto land. How's everybody doing? Me, you ask? Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm noticing some fantastic chart action here. We're finally noticing Bitcoin breaking out into all-time highs here. Looking at the 2-hour chart, just wanted to show you a little bit more granularity here. So what do we have? We have this cup with handle that we've been talking about. So here's the cup. Cup formed very nicely. We started to handle out, which is great. Indicates a nice consolidation, not too much of a rush to get in. And usually when you have a handle, the runs after the handle tend to be pretty good. Sometimes if you just get a cup that runs, it's a little hard to gauge what's happening. But when we form this handle, we know things are acting normally. And in cryptos, they don't always do that. So this is really nice to see. So out of this cup with handle, we see Bitcoin just start to curl up, break this declining trend line in the handle, consolidate again, then pop up on really excellent volume. Look at this volume right here. This is the highest volume bar, barring our beautiful down day here, right? Our beautiful down day, our shakeout day at the bottom of the cup. So, and we have a green bar here next to it, which is nice. But this is the biggest green bar we have going back quite some time. And every green bar that we see of this magnitude tends to be fairly significant. So this bar starts our new uptrend. This prior green bar confirmed our bottom and continued our uptrend here. This green bar was another bottoming bar that gave us a nice run up from 3,800 to 4,450. And if we continue back here, we don't see another bar that size until over here about a month ago on July 20th, which really kicked off this uptrend. So here's our prior base in Bitcoin, and this really solidified the move off the bottom, all this volume over here. So we're in a really good place right here. If you're holding Bitcoin, man, grab onto those rails tight, because I think you're going to be on for a nice ride. So if you want to get in here, this is a great secondary buy point. I don't talk about secondary buy points too often. I need to keep that in mind. That's my fault, guys. I'm sorry about that. So let's do that real quick. Let's go over buy points in this pattern, if nothing else as an exercise. So we've been noticing this cup with handle pattern here. So your first buy point, if you're really ballsy, is down here on this shakeout. But most people aren't going to buy this one. Your first actual buy point is right here when it's breaking out of this trend line. Although you have a nice volume pop, but the volume's nothing to write home about, but that is an early buying signature. That's exactly what this volume bar and this price bar breaking out of this trend line is doing here. This is an early indicator of, okay, I'm going to get in a position here, and if you're ballsy and go all in, I mean in terms of your position size, if you're ballsy and go all in, or whether you layer in, which is a more defensive and less risky approach, this is a great place to do that. So after you buy in here, you see it start to pop up, and it consolidates here. Okay, so this is a really nice, secondary early buy point, if you will, which is right here over these highs, which just by happenstance coincides with this large up bar here. So that would have been, you would have had to been actively watching this, or had a stop limit order in place, or a buy limit order in place in order to make this happen. Your next buy point is actually over this cup high, this handle high, or the cup high, because they're pretty close together. So you'd have bought around here, basically, ensuring this move was legitimate. But after all these low buy points are gone, and the traditional buy point, which would be buying over the prior high, has been taken out, you look for a secondary buy point, a consolidation of some kind, a pattern of some kind. And what we have here is we have a nice flag pattern. We have a nice flag pattern that people also call this a wedge. I call it a flag. I'm used to it. So this is a flag pattern, and when it pops over this is a good point for a secondary entry. Now, that being said, any entry can fail. Any entry can also be retested before it moves up. So this was retested here, right? So we broke out of here. It came back down. Now, didn't really get down here to test, but it did test this prior little high over here. So, every level is eventually tested. Okay? Every level is eventually tested. So here you have Bitcoin sitting at a secondary buy point. All right? So fantastic. If you're not in and you're looking to get into Bitcoin, go for it. Next up is Ethereum, who has been on a non-stop tear, and as of this bar, which I didn't actually look at the chart, that is phenomenal action, 384. So if you've been paying attention, we've been drawing this large cup in Ethereum. We've been drawing this large cup in Ethereum. Sorry, I got distracted behind me. We've been drawing this large cup in Ethereum, and I'm hoping this thing handles out a little bit. I'm hoping this goes sideways and consolidates, very similar to what we see in Bitcoin. That would just indicate a more mature market, a market that's less likely to have crazy shakeouts. Okay, so we see on this uptrend we have even though the uptrend breaks out over here at just under $100, it runs up to 220 very quickly. This is a 2-hour chart, so this is on 518, this is on 525, so you have 1 week where this thing essentially doubles, and then it proceeds to shake you all the way back out to 120. That is a brutal shakeout. I don't know too many people that would be able to hold this unless they bought this breakout extraordinarily well. If you bought at the secondary buy point, hopefully you would hold there. And let's think of this as that point in Bitcoin that we just saw, right? So we're right near the secondary buy point in Bitcoin. So notice it runs up, boom, shakes us out. This level is tested. And they actually do it again. They do it a second time. And this is a deep shakeout. So these are really hard to hold through. I mean, if you have a large position in Ethereum or Bitcoin, hopefully you're a longer term holder and these don't scare you. But if you're a shorter term trader, that's going to make you get stopped out. So that may happen in Ethereum here, but I really want this to handle out so we don't have those types of crazy whipsaw actions. The more formed and structured the base is, the more likely the breakout is to be orderly. And if you have a large position in Ethereum, you would like an orderly breakout. So Ethereum's acting fantastic. Our volume signature is good. Nothing but blue skies ahead up here. If you're looking to get into Ethereum, personally, I think this is pretty extended for an entry. You have 2 proper entries over here, which I have trend lines drawn. So those are 2 proper entries. Almost in anything along this trend line, I would also consider a proper entry. So if we do get a pullback, if we do get a handle of some kind, maybe we get something, maybe you can buy off of this trend line, maybe we can buy at the low of this potential handle. Now, these lines I just drew arbitrarily, these don't mean anything. This is just a representation of a handle, okay? So that's Ethereum, looking fantastic. Man, I just can't get over it. Scroll down a little bit. 2 more that are moving that I'm a little late to the party in the video on. And I apologize about that. My day's been super hectic. OmiseGo, my goodness. I did have a video to OmiseGo, a few videos, and I think we were talking just after it popped out of this symmetrical triangle configuration, right around this area. So if you've been watching, hopefully you took a small position and were able to capitalize on this move that we've been having. Looks like we're going to start a pullback up here between, we topped out here at 1134. So hopefully we'll get a nice consolidation before another leg up. We're looking at a possible nice secondary buy point here. Your first buy point would be on the breakout of this. Your secondary buy point, or your traditional buy point actually, would be this high being broken right here. So maybe you take this base and you'd still have a nice profit right here. You'd have a dollar profit right here, which is over 10% in OmiseGo, which I think is great. Volume is fantastic up here. Look at this volume. Nice green volume just coming out of this low volume area with the flat chart action, with the flat price action right here. Very nice. We knew something was going to happen, guys. We were talking about it. We knew something was going to happen. And we popped to the upside, and we're capitalizing here. So that's awesome. Now pay, another one that I've been talking about. I have positions in OmiseGo, Pay, and Ethereum, by the way, just so you guys know. I do have positions in these coins. So here we were talking about Pay. Basically, this declining trend line was broken back here, and I'm really happy we can actually talk about this at this stage in the game, because let's go through this step by step. We have a potential leading coin here, right? Pay, 10x, We're all familiar with it. We know what it does. It's a fantastic product. And I have some chart markups here. I'm not sure if this video made it to light, but we have two very similar patterns taking shape here. On this prior, we had a run up, we had a pullback that came up, came up here and then pulled back again, and then proceeded to go and break out hugely. And I'm anticipating some type of a pattern like that here. All right, so I was anticipating it holding maybe this level, which it did, which is not bad. And then so here's our second curl that's going to happen right here. Now notice this one over here took a number of bars. If I go to the daily chart, it's going to be a little more. Okay, so 1, 2, and on the third day, this thing actually finally broke out of the second consolidation. So we have 1, 2, so this may be 5 or 6 bars. This is a longer pattern. This is a deeper pattern. So you really you want to look for confluence, for lack of a better term, in terms of we have 3-4 days for this first round over, and then 3 days for the second round over. So here we have potentially 2 or 3 week, maybe a month downturn here, and then we're looking for a week or so, maybe 2 weeks for the secondary turn to move back up into new highs again. So we're sitting here right at 10. I mean, this has potential to double within the next month. So I think that's fantastic. I think pay is looking really good. This is not a bad place to get in. We have lower highs in place here. Okay, these levels have been tested. They have held. And I'm not anticipating much downward movement from here. Not to say it won't happen, but you may get something from here, maybe down to 9, testing these areas again, maybe retesting this high, which was held here, right? So, and again, that's what we're looking at when we're looking at these chart patterns. We're looking at areas of resistance, areas of support, and we're looking for them to be tested and proven accurate before we actually put any money to work and actually make things go. So that's pay for it. It's a quick assessment of pay. OmiseGo, which is doing fantastic. Ethereum and Bitcoin. So those are my big 4 right now that I like to keep an eye on. Bitcoin for obvious reasons, Ethereum for obvious reasons, OmiseGo and Pay are 2 coins that are not so well followed as of yet. They're going to have a lot of interest once these technologies really come to market. Alright, so there you go. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe if you like it. We're over 300 subscribers now. Thank you guys. I couldn't believe that happened today. I was flabbergasted that happened today. So over the weekend we jumped another 100 subscribers. Thank you very much. And happy trading.